I'm Lauren Kling, and this is 5 Things That Changed Your Life. Each episode, I sit down with a special guest and ask them to share 5 stories, events, or experiences that had an impact on their life, like a person who helped them decide a path to take, or a place that completely transformed the way they think. Perhaps it was inspiration from a family road trip or a childhood TV show that helped them to make the person they are today. This week's guest, Dimithri Perera.
There was something inherent about having glasses and being different that suddenly made the extroverted young me into sort of this introverted person growing up. And I had glasses from age 6 till 7th grade, so however many years that is. Now glasses can be cool. But back then, I just feel like you had Urkel. Everybody with glasses on TV was of a certain type. And I had glasses. And it made me go from like being the type of kid who had a lot of friends to being the type of kid who didn't have very many friends.
Dimithri is a lifelong performer and writer and all-around geek. He's the founder of Laugh Chance, an improv team based in Fullerton, California, that has been amazing audiences in Orange County for over 6 years. Dimithri is also the creator and host of the geek news source, The Key. As always, I am here with my cohort and producer, Alan Ng. How's it going, Alan?
Hello, loyal listeners. Things are going great for me.
We are here at episode 11, and our guest today on this episode is Dimithri Perera.
Yeah, he's the second of my friends that I was able to get for our podcast.
As I was editing the episode with Devin Dugan, who is your other friend, I did notice how there was a small wrinkle in your voice as you expressed that you had but 2 people that were your acquaintances on this show. So, Alan, is this a rough spot for you or uncomfortableness?
In terms of finding friends? No. I think the biggest thing is, as you have a new podcast and you're going out there and looking for friends, you're just grateful that you have some friends who are insightful and kind of they're kind of with the idea and the concept of the podcast. Because this can be, in a way you're kind of being a little naked out there, talking about really personal things in your life. And so some people are really happy to talk about it. Some are less. We've run into that in terms of a few guests who just don't want to be that transparent. And I get it.
I still feel like there's a melange of something here, but that's okay. I won't push it. This isn't therapy session with Lauren and Alan.
I know. Well, wait till season 2, then we'll see how things go.
So, so Dimithri a lot more than I. So go ahead and tell the listeners about Dimithri and how you know him.
Yeah, well, back when I got laid off from my job, and like Devin, it was I felt like, okay, here's my chance to put an improv troupe together. And that's what I did back in 2009. And Dimithri, amongst others, was one of my original members, one of the members of the troupe that went all the way through from beginning to end. And so that's kind of how I got to know Dimithri. And, we became pretty good friends at that point, and better friends over that time. And I was glad to have him a part of our troupe. As you can see, and he'll talk about it, he has his own group that he's been able to form, and it's a very successful group here in downtown Fullerton.
Were there things that you did not know about Dimithri in the conversation?
Well, I think there were things I kind of knew, but this is kind of maybe the first time we really got to talk things over. Like when he met his girlfriend, Amanda, she'd be by a lot, and, now we were able to talk a little bit more into that. And then we also talked about his web series that I got to play a small part in. A lot of times people bring up their successes as part of their 5 things, and a lot of times it's the things that we do learn from the I wouldn't say failures, but the things that we just couldn't quite bring to completion. That tells us a lot about ourselves. I think I've talked about that with my own personal improv troupe, and how fun it was putting it together, but ultimately, it not succeeding. and that being a pretty big tentpole in my life as well. So, Lauren, why don't you tell us what were Dimitri's 5 things that changed his life?
Number 1, putting your heart and soul into a scripted web series that's fully written, produced, and shot, but now sits on a shelf only partially completed. Number 2, when you're no longer wearing blue body paint and holding a lamp, nobody knows who the heck you are. Number 3, getting glasses at age 6 made him cool until he moved to a new school. Then he was just a geek. Number 4, Beast Boy and Raven, Nick Fury and Black Widow, matching ugly Christmas sweaters. It's been 4 years and still going strong. And number 5, starting an improv troupe is starting a business. So where's the fun in that? Here is our interview with Dimithri Perera. Hey everybody, it's Lauren, just jumping in real quick. When you hear this chime, that means that we're moving on to a new thing or a new topic. So let us know what you think. Give us a shout out on Facebook at facebook.com/5thingspodcast or on Twitter at 5thingspod. Back to the show. Dimithri Perera, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So one of the things you wrote is you wrote something called a web series called JTYSK, Just Thought You Should Know,
Just
which was
Thought You Should Know, yeah.
Scripted web series. And I bring this up because, Alan, the way you talk about Secret City, that it was a failure, and I don't think anything that you learn and grow from is a failure. I think that's the wrong way to think about it. I think you have to think about it as trying something. When it doesn't work, you come out of it learning something. Hopefully you've learned something. So, Dimithri, I know this was a series that you started, and I had seen a couple episodes, but you never finished it.
Yeah.
So can you look back on it with a different eye?
I mean, I'm in a similar boat as Alan with like the way Alan was talking about Secret City, and Just Thought You Should Know, I put a lot of heart into it. Just I wrote it. I produced it. Sometimes I directed it. I was like the main character in it with there was 4 main characters, but I was one of the 4. It was kind of like a Seinfeld type thing. But basically, we released 4 episodes. We filmed all 12 episodes. I wrote a 12-episode season. They were like 22 minutes long episodes, so I wrote the whole 12 episodes. And then we filmed all 12, but we only released 4 because the editor fell out of it. And it was very tough not having it be my fault, I guess, and yet having put a lot of effort into it and still failing. Not because of my own accord, because then you can blame yourself. But if it's out of your hands, then it's almost worse being helpless. So, and you're saying don't think of it as a failure. I mean, I guess now it's been a couple of years. I do think of it differently, but it's hard to say don't think of it as a failure when you think of it as a failure when you're like, go to sleep at night, you know?
I get it.
Right? Because it was something so close to me, because I literally wrote it about events in my life. Like each plot line, each thing, each character was a little bit about, each character was different, but had a piece of me in each character.
Right.
So they all kind of went through different things, and it was, I had a lot of fun writing it, and it meant a lot to me writing it and sharing these stories that never quite got released. So it was a failure in the sense that we only released 4 out of 12 episodes. Have I learned from it? Yes. But at the same time, I was very heartbroken for the longest time over that, creatively. Like starting new creative projects and doing that sort of thing. I do want to start something else soon, maybe. But I think that I'm maybe still a little heartbroken. It takes a lot of time for that to heal.
I get it. And I don't mean to diminish Alan's, your feelings for it. Because, yes, I've started projects that I've never finished. And it sucks. But, I guess I try to look at things positively.
Definitely. Yeah.
So,
But sometimes things, reality sets in. And,
yes, you're right. Reality sets in.
And there is that loss, the something you envisioned and not seeing the final end product come to, full fruition.
Yeah.
Then that happens in life, basically.
Right. But when you're a creator and an artist, unless you're really hella lucky, you're creating things that people may or may not see. Yeah. Things that you want to see happen that don't always happen.
Yeah.
And, At some point, the time and the preparation you put in meets up with luck, and you luck out and you get something that, is out there in the world.
Yeah.
So, is this something where you could ever complete it?
I could complete it. I think that, and this is what people did warn me a little bit. I was a bit ambitious doing 22-minute episodes.
Yeah,
it's essentially it's a longer season than The Office season 1, right? The Office season 1 was 7 episodes, right? The point being is, and Walking Dead was 6 1-hour episodes, right? That was season 1. So it's essentially the same as that, 12 half-hour episodes. I wrote the whole thing, and
it's like 3 movies too.
Yeah, how many seconds is it, Alan? How many seconds altogether? But the problem would be finding an editor who can edit that. I'm still looking. I'm always looking, but it's tough. There's no money in it. There wasn't money in it. There was money out of it, which I paid.
Right.
I was supposed to go originally 50-50 with my partner, and it probably was like 90-10.
Yeah.
80-20 maybe.
Well, isn't Louis C.K. his show Horace and Pete? He's, released the 10-episode series on his website. He's like, people will go see it. I don't need to promote it.
He just canceled it.
Did he cancel it?
Yeah.
Well, he did the 10 episodes, but then he's going to all of these shows saying, all right, I need to promote it. So if you guys
didn't
want
promote it, right?
Yeah, he didn't promote it at all.
Yeah.
So he's like, it's a great series, but it's one of those things where you put art out, and if you don't tell anybody about it, it's not going to get a lot of traction.
Well, if it's any consolation, I've been going to film festivals for the last 2 years, and there's always this gap between finishing shooting and ultimate release, and that gap is huge, and the excuse is always editing. It's either the editing project was just too overwhelming, the editor who was working for no money, life happened, and that person had to get a job, and now it was, and so now people are like putting up Indiegogo campaigns to basically get editing done on their final product.
Yeah.
I will say that my episode was out.
Alan's episode. Alan did guest star on an episode in which him and I have an altercation.
Yes.
Does he play Bane?
Yes, and he breaks my back. How am I supposed to answer that, Lauren?
I don't know.
And it is my only IMDb credit. So.
Oh yeah, we did get IMDb credits for
nice.
it.
So then let me ask you: was this the first time you ever wrote stories before?
Stories? No. I mean, I've been writing since I was like young.
Okay.
I went to I was in a GATE program, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, and the teacher, we had the same teacher for 3 years actually, 3 of those 4 years. She was very into writing. So we had huge writing projects where we had to write a poem, we had to write a short story, we had to write all this and that and character breakdowns and all that stuff. And I used to write short stories until I realized that I was writing more dialogue than description.
Okay.
With my short stories.
Right.
It mostly just became this conversation. I was like, and as I got older, I was like, I should then just write them as scripts. So then in like high school, I started writing scripts. But they were different than this one. I feel like Just How You Should Know was a little bit different.
Right. I mean, you said you were writing stories from your life. So this was, how was it writing stories about your life to the public for other people to...
I'm still waiting for someone to watch it that shouldn't be watching it and be like, was that me? Did you just change a consonant in the name and make it someone different, but it's actually me? I'm still waiting for someone to call me up and ask me for royalties. I'll be like, yeah, you can have, I'll give you a quarter of the profit that I got for it.
What,
I'll do it.
What do you envision? Do you have a goal with writing? Is writing part of your life?
Writing's definitely part of it. I love performing, and performing, it's hard for me to pick between writing and performing. I was greedy with Just How You Should Know, and I did both. I wrote about myself, and I performed it. And I mean, I liked that. It was cool. But I do want to write. I want to write for TV. I like episodes. I would like working with a group and writing in a writer's room.
Do you want to do like half-hour comedies or hour procedurals, or do you
not procedurals?
Yeah.
Procedurals.
Well, no. Ray, I'm just throwing out.
Yeah,
like, what's
no.
your what is like your?
I think I like
target?
Characters
I think
and-
sitcoms and like crazy characters. I've written a couple spec scripts. One of the funnest ones spec scripts I've written is one for Community, which isn't around anymore, and I can't use that spec script. But I literally did a Batman episode of Community. I wrote it, and it was fun because I combined two things that I love.
Yeah.
Into one thing. But I would love to write for sitcoms.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you have a purpose and a goal, and
Yeah.
and again, when you reach that point, or as time goes on, you can look back at your web series and say that redirected my life for whatever reason. Hopefully, it's always nicer to look back in the middle of success to be like, okay, all that bullshit before had a point. Right now, it's kind of like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I've just been thinking about it recently because I work at a certain pizza restaurant, and one day I want to, like they talk about like celebrities and like what jobs they have when they were like younger and whatever, and I want to be able to get to that point where I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I used to work at that like pizza place. You may have heard of it, and like people will be like, oh, and then they name a pizza after me.
Yeah.
I don't know what it'd be called.
See, I dream about getting famous enough where I can go back and make a pizza, because my first job was Domino's Pizza.
Oh, yeah?
I would love to go back and make a pizza, because I still kind of remember forming the dough and twirling it and hitting the ceiling, and because they were low ceilings.
Yeah.
Or In-N-Out Burger, like being able to go back and
Do you
flip
work there?
a burger. I worked there for 5 years.
Oh.
But I always had the managers at every job, which were like, I'm a funny guy. I'm a creative, funny guy. But none of my managers appreciated the creative humor of a 16 to 18-year-old kid.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
know
you know that
exactly
feeling.
what you mean.
So not only are you a writer and a performer, but you have a background in live theater. And one of the things you wrote is you were the genie in Aladdin.
Yeah.
That's exciting, because I know the show from seeing it at Disneyland.
Oh, okay. You didn't know it before seeing it at Disney?
I know it
You
before.
didn't know what Aladdin
No,
was?
I knew it, but...
There was a movie that had
What
come
is
out.
this crazy show? Aladdin.
yeah, Aladdin.
Yeah.
But talk about that. Was this something you were doing theater in high school?
Yeah. Okay. So I started doing theater like regularly in high school. Technically, my first ever show was in third grade. I did A Midsummer Night's Dream in third grade.
Wow.
Because our GATE class, again, we did a lot of writing. And we did a lot of like drama and like Shakespeare reading and stuff. It's crazy. We did Midsummer Night's Dream in third grade, Macbeth in fourth grade. Fourth grade Macbeth. Looking back on it, well, there was a very controversial.
How were people dying
It was-
in fourth
we
grade?
died.
And in fifth grade was Titus Andronicus.
Fifth grade was Much Ado About Nothing, actually. And then we went, in sixth grade, we did A Christmas Carol. So, whatever. But that was different.
People died before the play started. So
We became kids more as we grew up, I guess.
Okay.
But in high school, though, I because of my experience in third grade with Shakespeare and everything, I always thought that high school was just a bunch of Shakespeare. Like, the high school drama was just Shakespeare all the time.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to do that. But I realized after my freshman year of high school that like the drama class was not that, and I was very interested. So in sophomore year, I joined high school, and I had a really cool teacher that really got me into plays like regularly. So, but after a while, after graduating high school, I stopped. I did a couple shows here and there, but I hadn't done one for a couple of years before last summer when I essentially auditioned for a company that I did as a kid. Mm-hmm. But now I'm an adult and I'm like, ooh, look at me. And I got the role as the genie in Aladdin. And it was really cool. And it's gotten me back into doing acting, because I mean I do improv, that's live theater, but it's not theater. It's not like acting.
Right.
It's different. And so Genie was an amazing iconic role that I felt like I was always in love with, like Robin Williams' Genie. Right. And so I felt it was really cool being able to be a character that I grew up with, and then it kind of re-sparked my interest in like theater acting.
Right, and it's a role, and the reason I brought up Disneyland's live production is the actors playing Genie always made them very topical. So there were jokes being added and taken away, performance to performance. Were you given that latitude?
Yeah, I was. I mean, because it was a family. It was like the company is like a family theater production type thing, community theater for families and like their little kids, and there's not too many adults. I was one of the adult. There was adult Sultan, but even Jafar was, fresh out of high school. But I was the only one given leeway. I could improvise. I could write my own lines. I was given essentially a skeleton script.
Okay.
Where, I pop out of the lamp. I say, Aladdin, you have 3 wishes, and then I take them out of the Cave of Wonders, and everything in between I get to come up with.
That's a lot of, that's using all of your joys, improv, performance, theater.
I had to dig deep for just random characters and random things, and like I remember this was around the time Shia LaBeouf had the whole like do it thing. Like, and the kids, they know that, and it was so funny because I forget when I did it. At what point in the play? I think I was, telling Aladdin, like, just tell Jasmine you're not a prince. It's like, I can't. And I'm like, do it! And, like, I worked that in. It was, like, the weirdest thing. But, like, the kids loved it. And the audience was like, what? Oh, hey! And, like, it was funny. I got to do, like, references like that and write my own lines. And
that's what makes improv so great with an audience when you put in something that's very topical. And they're like, oh, you're with, okay, all right.
I can connect with you.
Yeah, I can connect with you.
I also worked in a, the whip and the nay-nay, right? That song? So I did the whip and the G-nay. I worked that, and the kids loved it. The kids had to teach me how to do it. Right. The kids had to teach me how to do the dance. It took 15 minutes, but I finally, kind of figured it out. Enough to do it on stage, and then I did it.
Nothing worse than I play with inside jokes just for kids.
That's true.
Oh, Alan, do you feel left out?
I know. My daughter was like laughing hilariously, and I'm like, what is she doing?
Did you find after the show that like little kids really looked up to the character and to you?
Yeah, no, definitely. My first couple of shows with them, I mean, we did like 16 shows. So like the first couple of them, after the show, I would go backstage, get dressed, take off all my makeup, and go outside, and no one would talk to me because, for those of you who can only hear my voice, the Genie is blue-skinned, and I am brown-skinned, and people, like little kids, don't know like what's going on.
Right.
If I walk out just as me, they're gonna be like, "Oh, that was the blue-skinned guy who was in the show." So I didn't get much recognition that way unless someone knew me personally. But after a while, I started doing. I would still have to take off my costume as per the company rules, but I would go out with my full makeup and just like my street clothes, but I'd try to blue theme it and go out and take pictures, and then kids really liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, if kids didn't leave Aladdin loving the Genie the most, then I have done something wrong.
Yeah.
I feel like the Genie's like the character. That and Iago. We had a puppet for Iago. He was cool.
Yeah. Nobody hates puppets.
I know. In fact, they mistitled the play. It should have been The Genie. I will say my daughter loved the show. I mean, but then again, my daughter's a big fan of yours.
Thanks. She came and saw me in Stinky Cheese Man.
I know.
I was the Stinky Cheese Man.
I go, Dimitri's going to be in it. Goes, okay, let's go see it.
There's a show called Stinky Cheese Man?
You've never read the book?
No.
There was the kid's book back in the 90s. It was Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales or whatever. So they changed fairy tales.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And instead of the gingerbread man, it's this man made out of stinky cheese. And that's just one of many stories. Yeah. So we all played like a couple different roles.
Seems like you're slowly making your way through all the small theaters in Orange County.
Well, I'm trying to. Trying to get
performance stages. Now you're at Chances.
Yeah. And I did Curtis Theater with Aladdin. Yeah.
All right, Dimithri, one of the things you talked about is at the age of 6 years old, you got glasses.
Yeah.
I got glasses, I think, at like 13 or 14, which is bad enough because they were George W. Bush or George Senior Bush looking glasses.
Okay.
Let's talk about your experience at 6.
So growing up, I was always extroverted. I was super extroverted. I was wild. I was crazy. I was good looking, all the girls.
Am I right?
Yeah, well, all the girls wanted to marry me, back when I was like 4.
My, how times have changed.
And so, like, slowly, I guess my vision was deteriorating. And my mom, I guess, noticed it because she took me for tennis lessons when I was young. And, like kid tennis lessons, and I couldn't hit the ball, for anything. So,
Right.
And so I got a vision test, and, like, kids don't normally get glasses, like, that young.
Right.
And so I did, and I got glasses at age 6. And then because of I went to a couple different schools when I was a kid, so I would change schools. So I didn't have – so once I got glasses, then I ended up going to a different school. I went to a private school after my public school, and then nobody knew me, so I was the kid with glasses.
Okay.
Nobody made fun of me. But there was something inherent about having glasses and being different that suddenly made the extroverted young me into sort of this introverted person growing up. And I had glasses from age 6 to – till 7th grade, so however many years that is. So what, 1st grade to 7th grade, 6 years.
Wow, okay.
Just glasses the whole time, so it almost became my personality, I guess, in a weird way. And not to say that, like, people with glasses have the same personality. It's not that, but when I was a kid, I did think that.
Right.
And it kind of made me turn inwards, I guess. And I would, and then it didn't help going from school to school. So I went to a different school, and then when I went to a GATE class, then it was another new school where, I made friends, and I was there for 4 years, but having glasses just kind of affected me. And it was weird because I think back now, and, I got glasses I got contacts summer after 7th grade, and I had to work my way back out of these feelings of, like I don't know. I was really hung up, I guess. Like, and even it was more of a subconscious thing. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I would ask my mom. I was like, if glasses are so good, then, like, how come, like, it was weird. It was a weird thing. I was like, how come, like, male models don't have glasses? Like, or, like, and then she was like, and then, like, it was hard to answer that because especially
Right.
back then. Now glasses can be cool. You got the black rim glasses like you do. You can be cool and have glasses, and there are people and celebrities that have glasses, right? But back then, I just feel like you had Urkel, and I loved Urkel, by the way. That's just
Did
a
you?
separate thing. Yeah, I loved Urkel. But, like, you had Urkel. Everybody with glasses on TV was of a certain type, and I had glasses, and it made me go from like being the type of kid who had a lot of friends to being the type of kid who didn't have very many friends, or like a close best friend.
So how much do you think it was you versus maybe, I don't know if there was a societal stigma against glasses, but do you think a lot of it may have been you?
No, I think most of it was probably me. But then again, it's hard to tell a kid, like, hey, don't worry about blank that you have. People don't really notice that. People notice how you feel about that, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to tell a kid that. You can't really be like, oh, don't worry. Like, nobody will really notice that, even if they won't, like, right? So I guess it was mostly me, but it was also, like, the time, I guess. Like, glasses weren't cool.
Yeah.
Things that weren't cool back then.
That would have been a good time to be introduced to Clark Kent and Superman.
Yeah, but he has to take off his glasses to be Superman. If I took off my glasses, I would run into a pole or something.
But see, I had, Clark Kent and Superman as a kid with glasses, but that was the only thing, and I felt like a total dweeb with glasses.
Well, because Clark Kent wasn't cool, right? Superman was cool. Clark Kent was not. Clark Kent was a dweeb, right?
Yes.
Right.
So that's to show you how people, like, that's glasses.
Even
for.
Superman thought that he was inferior when wearing super
Right,
glasses.
kind of. Yeah.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
So, but do you notice now? What I've noticed now is some people who wear glasses that I think they're just wearing them to fit in.
Yeah,
People have glasses with no lenses in them, for crying out loud.
Let's not get started on headshot photographers who shoot pictures of actors and they give them glasses without any glass and a bow tie to give them. This is what Hottie McHotterstein would look like as a nerd.
Yeah.
And you're like, Well, thanks. I see his six-pack abs. He's not a nerd. Go F yourself. Anyway, this isn't my show. Go on, Dimitri.
No, I just thought it affected me a lot, and I think I felt like it stunted my social growth a little bit. I mean, it didn't help that I was like skinny. I was skinny. I was fast, but I was skinny growing up, and I was like really skinny, and I mean, it didn't help. That I just had glasses for 6 years of my like formative years.
Yeah.
And then when I got contacts, then I'm like feeling a little bit better about myself, right? But still, it's like then now I'm in high school, and that's a whole new school with a whole new group of people, and like sure I don't have contacts, but again I'm back to not knowing anyone.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I felt like glasses kind of stunted my growth a little bit as a kid.
It was just something, believe me, I think we all in school had one or more things that really screwed with us.
Yeah. It also didn't help that I used to dress like my dad.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's back up the family truckster. Talk about this. How did your dad dress?
I'm talking like button-up shirts tucked in, like I don't know. I was kind of a mix between Dad and Urkel. Like it was weird. I feel like once I got glasses on, I was like starting to mirror people who had glasses, and my dad had glasses. He was never a nerd. He was never that. But like right. My parents used to. Obviously, when you're a kid, parents used to dress you, and I wasn't like dressing hip. Right. I was dressing essentially like my dad.
You were a little more formal.
Yeah, I parted my hair, and I had to tuck in my shirt every day to school, and I wear a belt. I think I wore a belt. No, some days I didn't.
But you wore a button shirt, and you were in t-shirts like and jeans.
Or a polo. I did wear some t-shirts, but I would still have to tuck it in. And then, once I got out of 6th grade, out of elementary school, then I'm like starting to learn like, this isn't cool. Like I'm starting to like kind of like figure that out. And then I end up going to a junior high where you have to tuck in your shirt. So suddenly, where you have to tuck in your shirt, I don't want to tuck in my shirt. And when I was a little kid, I wanted to tuck in my shirt, and I didn't have to tuck in my shirt. So there was that whole thing.
Self-imposed dress code versus now
there is literally
mandated
a dress code.
Yeah, mandated.
I would say there's adults who probably should tuck in their fucking shirts.
Yeah,
today.
Well, there definitely is. And now I feel like I can go tuck in my shirt or not tuck in my shirt. I will be fine.
All right.
Right?
All right. Not as bad as we try to lead you into making it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were walking around with a briefcase.
Yeah.
Now, you were in the GATE program for 3 years. Did you have
4 years.
4 years. Did you have
Come
a
on,
briefcase?
Lauren. 4 years.
All right.
No. Did I have a briefcase? No. Okay. I had a backpack. I was still a kid.
Yeah,
I wasn't
okay.
like that one kid from School of Rock who ends up doing costuming. You know what I'm
Right.
talking about?
Yeah.
It wasn't like him. It was just...
Okay.
It's funny because we had a guest who thought glasses were cool, wore them early, and ruined her eyesight.
Yeah. She wanted them that bad.
Yeah.
So then her eyesight
Nope, that was not me.
So you grow up, you become a young adult, you're teaching kids, you're doing improv, and then you meet somebody named Amanda.
Yeah.
And you start dating Amanda. I'm curious, why is Amanda one of the 5 things that changed your life? What is it about her?
Well, I mean, if you want to like talk about just quantity over quality, just alone, we've been going out for 4 years. I mean that, almost 4 years now. But I mean, there's that. I mean, there's. What was your question? What was the question?
All right. No. So
why is she one of those?
Why
those
is
things?
she on the right? I mean, did you date before?
Yeah. No, I did. But I think it's different when you're dating or your like first girlfriend or whatever. Amanda and I, this has been like the longest relationship I've ever had. This is, almost 4 years now, and it's on the right path to everywhere you need to go. And she's been a great girlfriend. I don't know. What do you want me? You want me to say like all these like great things about her?
Well, no.
Well, first get off your knee.
But I mean, okay. So then let's go at it this way. Again, going into the path of, does dating somebody for 4 years make you feel proud that you're becoming an adult? Like,
First thing, I don't want to ever be an adult.
Okay.
But I have to be, right? That's first thing. I don't think it's the whole dating someone for 4 years thing. If you were dating the wrong person for 4 years, that would be a detriment. You'd be wasting your time. That'd be that. But this isn't the case in that sense, right? And so it's nice to have someone who's always there, who supports you, who I'm crazy. I'm not always an adult. I am a kid a lot of the time, and I'm a creative person who tries to do creative projects, and I'm not A to B type guy, and she knows that, and she loves me anyway, and it's really nice having that person there who supports you and who I support back. So it's not that we've spent 4 years of just wasting time.
Right.
It's like 4 years well spent.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that help break you out of, let's just say average relationships are a month. What was something that may have that helped you get past that month to say, hey, okay, we're in this for the long
Well,
haul?
liking back helped, No. I think except like me being able to open up and be who I actually am as opposed to who I am just outside. Like if you meet me for a day, like pretty much if you meet me for a day, you'll like me. If you see me for a week, you might be like, he's kind of getting on my nerves. If you get past that, and then I think there's like a smooth sailing once you accept who I am after a week.
So there's a level of comfortability. You have with
Well,
each
there's a
other,
comfortability, and like I'm not the hardest person to get along with. I'm not the easiest person to get along with. I think that like it helps that she does accept who I am and my interests. We share a lot of interests. We dress up for Comic-Con and we literally dress up for everything. So we dress up.
I've seen some pictures, and I think I knew you when you first started dating her,
Yeah.
and I love the pictures because you look happy and
Yeah.
you're doing stuff with somebody you
And you're
love.
coordinated.
And you're coordinated.
We coordinate. We try to coordinate all our costumes.
What? Okay, tell me some of your most favorite partner costumes.
Okay, so for WonderCon in Anaheim, we did Beast Boy and Raven from Teen Titans. So I painted like myself green,
Wow,
essentially.
okay.
And like she had the whole Raven ensemble, and she made her own like Raven jewelry, and like we did this thing. So we like to do couple costumes, characters
Right.
that are couples together. Actually, the Halloween before that WonderCon, we were Nick Fury and Black Widow, who in continuity are not a couple,
Yes.
but thematically they can be.
All right, you're stretching. Okay.
They work together, therefore a couple.
They are a work couple.
They're getting paid by the same payroll company, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and like you could ship them, right? You could be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, they're dating on the sly.
okay.
But no, and then like even for Christmas, because Laugh Chance, my improv team, we do ugly Christmas sweater shows, and so we coordinate all our Christmas sweater outfits
Wow.
together. So the first year was my favorite because we had like these turtlenecks and these outer ugly Christmas vests, and we looked like the two biggest dorks on the planet, but it was fine because we're together, right? But no, I mean between now and then, like we've done two characters from X-Men, who are not a couple, but again thematically they are. Sunspot and Moonstar. What else have we done? Oh man, I mean we've done like Men in Black. We like to do that.
Right.
I mean every occasion that we have to do a couple costume we will do. So we'll do Halloween, we'll do Christmas, we'll do WonderCon and Comic-Con.
Right.
And just kind of go from
Are
there.
you buying pieces and putting them together? Or are you guys sewing or doing that kind of thing?
We're not sewing. We have a friend who sews, and we're a couple friends who sew. But we do put the costumes together. Like it's not something we buy all together.
Right.
It's just little pieces here and there. But this last WonderCon that we went to in LA this year, this is the first time we haven't done a couple's costume because she wanted to be Scarlet Overkill from Minions, and I didn't want to be a minion. So I decided
You'll go green, but you won't go yellow.
yeah. I'm sorry, Alan.
Racist. Oh.
Yeah, green is fine, blue is fine. No,
Yeah. But so I was Little Lobo from the Young Justice comics, which is a very obscure character.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was a cool costume, at least.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, is she into improv or theater?
She's not necessarily a performer. Like she's got him on stage. She does public speaking right? She works with kids and does all that. She's not a performer per se by trade. She's more in line with like business, and she's doing her MBA right now. And so I'm the artist, she's the businesswoman.
Got it.
Has she been to every show?
Every Laugh Chance show?
Or most?
Most. She's missed maybe 2 in the 4 years that I've, we've been together. So yeah, she's always there.
You want to monitor that as
Sorry?
You want to monitor that as the time goes on.
Yeah. No,
I think when you're married, I think the maximum number of shows allowed drops
way down.
Yeah.
That's fair. I understand that.
But right now, you're kids. You're in love. It's all good.
It's still funny.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go there and ask: have you guys talked about marriage, or are you still just having fun and not really?
No, we've talked about it. But both of our philosophy is that we gotta get our ducks in a row, and she has more ducks, mind you, more ducks in a row than I do. I need to get my ducks in a row more so. But we both need to get our ducks in a row before we start moving to next steps, I guess. But that's in the plans.
Okay.
That is part of like the whole thing. I mean, what are we going to do? Dance around the subject for the last 4 years? You know what I mean? Like,
right. Again,
we have to get to it sometime.
Again, this is, the reason I brought this question up is because a lot of times you're scared to ask the questions and be honest with the person you're seeing. And when that happens, that means you're just dating for a month or two. That's the difference between somebody that's just dating and learning what it's like to be in a relationship and somebody who's like, no, you know what? I love this relationship enough where I'm going to make it work and I'm going to ask those uncomfortable questions. Yeah. And I'm going to fart in front of them.
I've been doing that a lot lately. I feel like after 2.5 years, I was like, oh man, I'm getting a little gassy. And so, I haven't been hiding that as much as I used to.
That's when it gets comfortable.
Yeah. When you stop trying.
Well, you know what? But that's I gotta say, and I gotta be honest. I've been married to my wife for 13 years, and there's times where I miss being, courting her like I used to, and
courting her.
Yes, and there's times where she's kind of told me like, I miss you courting me. I miss you taking me out and surprising me with something, and I'm like, can't we stay home and watch another Harry Potter movie? We only have 4 more movies to go.
We have 3 more movies.
So you kind of touched on Laugh Chance before.
Yeah.
This is an improv troupe that you started.
Yeah. We started almost 6 years ago. Like, we just had our 5-year anniversary show, but we had been practicing for a long time before we got our first show. I did improv in high school, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, and then I stopped. And then I took an improv class at school, met some new people, and I realized that it was about the right time to start an improv team. I was taking a documentary filmmaking class at the same time, and I thought, what should I do my final project on? And I thought, might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I had always planned on starting an improv team of my own, and now I knew enough people like, I could start one, and I'll film it for my final project. My documentary will be starting an improv team.
Nice.
And I still have like the footage of the documentary,
right?
Where we go over or like we do interviews with like everybody 6 years ago, and so it was kind of funny still having that footage. But I started 6 years ago. We practiced in my backyard for months until we wore out a patch of grass, and my mom was like, "Nope, that's it." And so we basically we practiced there. We got our first show, and we just had our 5-year anniversary show.
Congrats!
Yeah.
How's it feel being on a team with somebody for that long?
I mean, now because we've gone through roster changes over the 5 years, people come and people go, and that's the kind of the way it works. Only 3 starting members are still on the team. Okay. So myself, Sam Forbes, and then my sister Natasha, and like we were the 3 of the founding members, and we've been there the whole time. But everybody else is relatively new. Some people have been there for 3 years. Some people have been there for 2. We just had auditions and we brought on 3 new people. But it's been a wild ride. Yeah.
Why do you say that? Wild ride?
Because it's not that I've started a team just to perform. Like me, myself, I run the team. So I have to market for the team. I have to spread the word. I have to make sure everything's running appropriately. And it's a lot of work.
You have to find a place to perform. And,
That's
and
why
managing that.
Yeah. Well, that's why it took 8 months to find us a place until we got our first show, and so at Stages Theater. And so it's a lot of work. And over time, I've enlisted Sam to help with a lot of stuff, and he's done an amazing job. It's just it's not like we're only performers on the team. When you start a team, when you start a business, right, you have to do all the work.
Right.
And so it's been a wild ride that way. We've had ups and downs, but we've had an ever-increasing audience size, which has been nice.
That's good. You've had a following,
Yeah.
people that follow
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah.
And it's an exciting show, too. I mean, you definitely have bringing a lot of people from the outside that don't normally go to stages there. And again, very exciting. It's short form.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, it's short form. The way our format works is we don't know what games we're going to play. We have a game board, and on the game board there's each tile, which is a game, and it's assigned a number and a letter, and we throw big inflatable dice out into the audience. The audience hits it back, and whatever it rolls, that's the game we play off the game board. It's a really fun show. We have music, we have big inflatable dice, people are drinking, having a good time. It's pretty fun.
So you and Sam, this was in high school? You and Sam? Or
no. Well, Sam's 4 years younger than me. Sam's the same age as my sister. So my sister and I, we didn't go to high school together. So it was, again, 6 years ago when I started this. So I was 22, and then my sister was 18. So my sister and Sam had just graduated high school. So I got together some people I'd improvised with, and then I got people my sister had improvised with, and we kind of brought them together and gave them a chance.
So at what point did it become a business as opposed to the fun thing you do with your friends?
Well, I think it quickly became a business when it became trying to get people to come see shows. Then it becomes a business, right? And I think that you can't start off slow. So I was marketing not from the very beginning, but from having a show.
Right.
It was a lot of marketing. And, we got team shirts and everything. That was always the thing I wanted. And we have pretty cool team shirts now. I don't know. We've always had to market it because I'm not of the philosophy that a improviser can just sit back and hope there's people in the audience. You have to bring people. You have to get people. You have to spread the word and be good enough that people come again and again and again. And that's what Last Chance is.
I think that's the same way with creating a podcast, with being an artist and making art, and you want people to come see it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I feel like podcasts more so than I feel like if you do art, you can either do art and just hang it up in your home and then that's it, right? Or if you want everybody to see it, then you figure out ways. With a podcast, you can't just do a podcast and sit back and be like, if people like it, they will come, right? You got to spread the word, really.
Right. Of course. Now, on one vein, like for this one, I'm doing it so I have a body of work for people to look at and say oh, so that's what Lauren does.
Yeah.
Because until you do work and put stuff out there, people don't know what you do, what you're about, don't know how you work. And so, there's some people who sit back and just are waiting for the phone to ring.
Right.
You are definitely not one of those people.
No, not with Laugh Chance especially. I feel like I have an obligation. I started the team. I've roped people along, right, for 6 years. I need to have my affairs in order.
Right.
With that.
Do you think there'll ever be a point where you just end the team?
Laugh Chance? There are times where I think to myself, at a certain point, will it end? I would want it to, basically my goal is, so we started off with doing a monthly show, right, with Laugh Chance. Then we moved to having 2 shows a month, but they're all at random times and days. So we would just, you might have like 2 weeks in a row you had shows and then another show for 4 weeks, right? We would then we went to now what we have now is we are on the second and fourth Friday of every month. So it's like a set schedule. Every month we have 2 shows. And obviously my ultimate goal is having a weekly show, and filling up the audience to warrant a weekly show is tough, but hopefully we're on the right track. Weekly show is my ultimate goal. And if we do that, then it becomes almost a mainstay, It's every Friday Laugh Chance. And if that's the case, then even if I can't do a specific show, I've been in almost all the Laugh Chance shows, except for one. I was out of town. Then at least if I'm not in it, then I can trust other people to kind of run it and have Laugh Chance run without me. I think that's the staying power there.
Right.
So I should be able to leave and have it still exist without me. And that
Got it.
That kind of proves that it's there to stay.
And I think that's a great place to be, is to be in a position where you can trust others
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
And you've definitely been putting a lot of hard work into it. So
Yeah. I'm proud of where it is right now. And just the anxiety in me is constantly like telling me like we can do better. And it's horrible, I think. It's like not being content with any positivity, like any positive growth. It's like not good enough. And like I love Laugh Chance. It's definitely good enough as a viewer and as an audience member, but as someone who's running it, I'm like, we can be better.
Right.
We can be better. We sold fan shirts because I was like, we could be bigger than this. Let's make fan shirts. And we made them and we sold them, and we have a couple left over, but I mean they sold pretty fast and pretty well.
Right.
And so we have people walking around town with I heart Laugh Chance like on their shirts, and it's pretty cool. But it's a lot of work, and I'm never quite content with it.
It's a drive.
Yeah, healthy dissatisfaction is what I've been told.
That's a good way to
is
put
the
it.
word.
yeah.
On that note, Dimithri, thank you very much for being on the 5 Things That Changed Your Life podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Dimithri is a lifelong performer and writer and all-around geek. He's the founder of Laugh Chance, an improv team based in Fullerton, California, that has been amazing audiences in Orange County for over 6 years. Dimithri is also the creator and host of the geek news source, The Keeg. Our sound engineer is Stephen Ray Morris. You can contact him at stephenraymorris.com. Music by My Monthly Date. You can find them at facebook.com/mymonthly-date. Subscribe to 5 Things That Changed Your Life on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast service. And go ahead and leave us a nice review if you'd like. You can follow us online at 5thingspodcast.com or on Facebook at facebook.com/5thingspodcast, that's FIVE, or on Twitter at 5thingspod, that's FIVEPOD. For 5 Things That Changed Your Life, I'm Lauren Kling.